Fantastic. Thank you very much, Ian, and thank you everyone for joining the webinar today. Very excited to introduce who DSI are and then hand over to my colleague Chris to provide a demonstration of our solutions. So before I do hand over to Chris, I will just provide a quick overview as to who DSI are. So DSI are an end-to-end digital supply chain company. So what that means is we've developed a number of mobile apps to help organizations manage their inventory throughout their entire supply chain. So at the bottom, you can see we can help suppliers track their raw materials. We can help organizations manage their warehouse operation. We can also manage field service operation out in the field. And also we can track inventory right through to customer receiving the product. What's also key to note is our mobile apps are pretty much configured to meet 80% of a customer's requirements, but we do appreciate that no two customers are identical, so the remaining 20% can be then configured to meet customer-specific needs and requirements. And also what's key, I've touched on it a moment ago, but our solutions allow organizations to track inventory both inside and outside the four walls, which is very key, especially in the age where organizations who have users who possibly are in remote areas, don't have internet connectivity, outside the four walls that also do work offline. So just a quick overview as to who DSI are in terms of numbers. So we are a company who was founded 40 years ago in the US. We're actually founded as an Oracle implementation partner. Soon discovered there are a number of gaps in the supply chain functionality of the ERP solution. So DSI then developed supply chain solutions for the marketplace. Today we have over 300 employees working for the company globally. You can see on the right-hand side we have presence in North America, Asia, Australia, New Zealand, and obviously EMEA, albeit that is not the view from my office. We do have a clock tower in Maidenhead, but it certainly isn't Big Bang. In terms of the customer base, we work with over 2,000 customers across a number of different verticals, so manufacturing, wholesale distribution, life science, healthcare, retail are some of the key verticals we focus on. We have a 24/7, 365-day support there. So what's key about this is our support staff actually are employed directly for DSI. So we don't outsource any of the support function after working hours. And some of our staff have actually been with DSI for 20, 30 years. So they really do have significant experience across the supply chain and the offerings that DSI provides. And recently we were awarded the Oracle NetSuite Suite Cloud Partner of the Year, which we are very proud of. So before I hand over to Chris, I'd just like to talk through this slide, because it just gives a nice graphical representation, if you like, of what DSI can offer organizations. So for manufacturers, we can help you manage and track your work orders through to work order complete. That information is then automatically updated into your NetSuite ERP system. From a warehouse management perspective, we can manage the basic pick, pack, ship functions, but then we can be a lot more complex in terms of operations. So if you have license plate, consignment inventory, FIFO, FIFO, some other more complex requirements over and above pick, pack, ship, we can then manage those operations. But then we can then come outside the four walls. So if you actually deliver your product direct to your customer, we can track the inventory in transit, so from the warehouse right through to customer receiving a product. We can manage proof of delivery, signature capture, and have that information updated into NetSuite. As I touched on earlier, we can manage a field service operation. So if you have engineers that are actually going out on site, who maintain machines or equipment, they go out on site, they diagnose a problem, an issue, they realise they don't have all the relevant spare parts on them there and then to fix the job. They can actually then log onto the app, view exactly where those nearest spare parts are. It could be with another engineer nearby, could be back to site, but wherever those spare parts are, they could then, for example, meet the engineer nearby, do an inventory transfer of the spare parts, then go back to the customer side and actually fix the problem. So it's all about helping field service organizations with first-time fix goals, as that then increases customer service and reduces the overall cost of the job. Next slide. And then, yeah, I think that is me for now, and I'll hand over to Chris.
Thanks, Tarek. Good morning, everybody. Thanks to the guys at BrightBridge for inviting us on their webinar series. My name is Chris Lee. I'm the solution engineer, one of the solution engineers to DSI and EMEA. My job is to do the demos, answer the technical questions, and hopefully give you what you need from an inventory management solution demonstration. As the slide here shows, DSI has a number of ways of managing inventory in different sizes, shapes, as a sort of off-the-shelf package set of solutions. So depending on the size and shape of a business, then we can deal with either a nice, simple, straight slot into standard NetSuite from our native applications. If you have a much more complicated implementation, we can look at the DSI platform or platform as a service that allows us to start doing things like bespoking the applications to meet any sort of customizations or extra business rules or additional tables you put into your environment. And then at the top of the shop up here, we have the DSI Cloud Inventory solution, which is a fully fledged sort of tier 2 WMS system that allows you to take all of the management of your warehousing outside of the core ERP and then apply a lot more rules, a lot more functionality, a lot more visibility. But as I say, if you see the steps of the platform here for our products, you can see that we start with a native one. It's nice, it's simple to install, simple to use, and then as we move up the steps, you add up complexity and you add up more complex implementation. And underneath that, you can see that we also have a label printing solution, excuse me, called DSI Enterprise Print Platform, or EPP for short. And this allows you to print labels or barcode labels and barcode printers, not only from DSI products, but also from NetSuite directly. It is a completely standalone product that allows you to print labels and send labels and print out anything you need in a sort of warehouse and manufacturing environment. And under that, you've got the Insights program. As you see, when we're native and using our native products, then we're going to use NetSuite's reporting tools and to give you all the information, because we're built into NetSuite. We're running as part of NetSuite implementation, use NetSuite rules. But as you move outside that to our platform and to our cloud inventory world, we have an Insights set of dashboards that allow you to look at how people are working, how the system is working, how the warehouse is working, to allow you to look at those things. Then at the bottom, as you can see, we're a Suite Cloud partner. Our products are in the Suite App Store. So anything we're talking about today, then it can be got from the NetSuite Suite App Store. So we're going to look at focusing on we're going to focus on the native apps from DSI. So it's out of the box. It is a product and it's designed to be installed into standard NetSuite, but it gives you the ability to do some nice data capture, some warehousing, some manufacturing functions. So what is DSI Direct from NetSuite, and why would you need it? It installs directly into the product, and as you'll see in a minute, you see it in the tab as NetSuite. You set it up and you manage it from inside your NetSuite environment. And it means that you control your environment. We're not taking away the control of data capture, the control of warehousing for you. It provides a set of off-the-shelf applications. There's a completely modular solution, excuse me, that allows you to start small and grow up into more functionality as you need it, or actually just buy the pieces you need and allow you to stay doing that level of data capture if that's what your business requires. It's quick to install and configure. We normally say sort of a calendar time between 4 and 7 days, and that will allow you to set it up, install the software, train some users, and then be able into the warehouse scanning barcodes and capturing data. As you see shortly, you'll see the UI is easy to use, it's easy and clean. We've designed everything to be very simple, very straightforward, and step through the process to allow you to see what you need and to see how the users can move it. And again, the pricing is transparent. There's a fixed cost for each module to be implemented into the system, and then a user price. So as you see, as I said, it's a modular approach to the system. You need to start with either the core functionality or the pro functionality, and these give you the the very basic or basic plus functions you're going to need to do that. So receipting, item or bin inquiries, counting, inventory adjustments, and basic straightforward single order pick for the core. And on top of that, you get the ability in Pro product to do bin picking, put away, RMA returns into the system adjustments, to do those, to give you that extra functionality. So once you've got Core or Pro in the system, and most people take Pro, you can then buy an add-on package for that. So if you want to start looking at complicated picking or more complex picking or picking that fits your business function, you can have the pick management piece, and we're going to talk about some of those pieces, especially the sort of wave or customized creation of picking strategies for you. Work orders allows you to do kitting and work order completion. If you're going to do manufacturing or you're putting together kits of product to ship out the door, then we have an app to allow you to do that. Then of course there's shipping, so we can run shipping out into the USPS, FedEx, UPS integrations. We can, if required, build a custom integration to an additional carrier if that's what's needed. And then if you want to do printing, there is a printing solution here from our EPP module. And again, EPP installs into NetSuite, and then you can run it from there. So just to give you a quick look and feel, a quick highlight of what the application looks like. As you can see here, it's nice and clean. The main menu on the left is configured per user. So if a user only needs to see order receipting, when they're set up and you log in, the order receipt is the only app that user is going to see. And the apps are chosen from a list, a functionality with the product when it's installed, so you can choose which users see which apps and which functionality. And again, it's very easy for you as a customer who has the configuration functionality in NetSuite to change, add, move apps and users in the system. Then as you see the next screen, you can see the layout of the product here is nice and simple. The idea is that you pick from lists or you scan barcodes to enable you to run the applications. You can then look at picking here, and as I say, every company needs to pick pineapples in their system, but what it is showing here is that what we have is the ability to show images, so you're allowing the workforce to just have those extra bits of functionality, those extra clues as to am I picking the right thing to give you that first time pick, that first time accuracy. So if that's how you want to see the system and give your users that information, then that's the way we can do that sort of thing. So we're going to break out of the PowerPoint now into the section. This is sort of what we call inventory management for inside your building. So generally this product requires you to have a live connection to NetSuite. So we're going to be connecting over Wi-Fi to allow you to see and use those products. So here's our NetSuite system. This is a live demo NetSuite system. And as soon as my mouse comes up, as you can see, DSI Direct installs as a product into the ribbon here, and it allows you to not only run the applications in the system, but also set everything up for the users. We also have the installed here as our print platform. Again, as you can see, it installs into NetSuite as a product and is completely managed from inside NetSuite. We're not going to be looking at EPP today, but just to let you know that it is there and it is a product that you can add on and install to do printing. So DSI Direct, we'll have a quick look at configuration. The system configures inside NetSuite. Let's start that up. It configures into a user in here. And what we'll do is look up users. Here's my user, DSI Chris. And see what preferences I have for my user in the system. And as you say, each user has a set of preferences. Applications can be easily removed. Areas for working can be easily added. And a bunch of other things like preferential printers or those sort of things can be put in to set your user up. Now, we're not going to go into this in any more detail. If you're interested in this as a product, we can do a much more detailed overview for you. What we're going to do is we're going to jump out and have a look at the applications. As you can see, my user has a lot of applications in here. So my application screen will look fairly busy. So this is my screen running on a mobile device. It's designed to run in an HTML5 browser. That means you can run it on anything that runs Chrome or Safari or ruggedized scanning devices that you can see that allow you to have anything with HTML5. the system designed to do that. And what it means is you can also run these apps on the desktop as full screen apps. And there are a couple of creation function apps, like the picking app that is a full screen app that's designed to be run by a supervisor or a manager. So the data capture applications are all designed to be run from a user, and then the creation functionality apps, because there are more variables in there, are designed to be run from a supervisor on a desktop application. But there is no reason why you can't run a receipting app from a PC-based screen in an HTML5 browser like Chrome, for example. And what you can see here is we've just put up a sample of the applications. We've not put all of them up in the system here, but you can see there's a set of basic functions for receipting in here. So we can receive, we can put away, we can move things around in the warehouse. And we'll jump into a couple of these applications so that you can see them. We can also look up where products are in the system. And then after that, we can do a variety of picking. So we've left in a number of picking solutions here, just to let you know that the base one you get is directed picking, single order pick, and we'll have a look at that. Then we also support in the advanced package what we call multi-order or tote picking, where I can pick more than one order at a time, and the DSI solution will allow you to move around the warehouse and pick all the items for all the orders. So you're not picking lots of orders independently, we're merging those picks together to allow you to pick all the products for up to 6 orders at the same time. And then the last one we're going to show here is this wave picking. So this is where you can actually make a picking strategy based on NetSuite stage searches to benefit you. So maybe you have a carrier that comes in early, so I want to pick all those orders first. So you can start to put those strategies together. There's also a packing function in here, so if you want to do a pack function that allows you to break orders down into boxes. Each box can be packed independently, it can be weighed, it can be the delivery note per carton per box can be separated out, so if you're internationally shipping, those things are important. And again, this is an app that runs on the desktop, but to allow you to do that. We also then have ship confirmed, so as the product is ship confirmed out of the building, the status change is done in the background. And again, everything we do is a certified NetSuite function and certified integration. Pick management is an application for a desktop. In order to show you, I have to leave it in the menu here, and we'll show you what that is. But that's a full-size screen application, and we'll show you what you mean by building custom picking solutions for your business. And then finally, for the manufacturing and work order piece here, so work order complete, and also this application allows you to go away and pick the items for that work order. So you can use it as a raw material pick or a work order part pick, and then also to do that to show that you've completed work orders, completed building of products in the system, so NetSuite is kept updated. And that's the mission here, is that we are using NetSuite as the source of the truth, but actually you're absolutely capturing real-time information at the point of activity, and that's the important thing that you need to have. So real-time visibility for anyone in the business by simply looking into the NetSuite system you've got in the background, the investment in NetSuite that you made as a company, to allow you to see what's going on in your business real time. So let's have a quick look at some of these applications. We'll open up the order receipt app at the top here. Let it open up and just run, and then we'll show how that works. Now, some of the things that we've done as a company to make the warehouse users' life more easy and more straightforward. They're not a NetSuite user. They don't want to see NetSuite screens. They just want to scan barcodes and say things came through the door. So what we've done is we've made an application here that not only will receive purchase orders, will also receive transfer orders, and also will then do returns. As long as the order numbers are made in NetSuite, so POs, TOs, and RMAs are made in NetSuite, then the system will allow you to receive those numbers through the door and actually receive them. So you know when things have come into the building, and then you can deal with them live and interactive in the system. So we're going to look at a purchase order in the system here. I have some barcodes here, so this is connected to a barcode scanner. So hopefully you'll hear me as I scan the barcodes. There's an authentic barcode beep for everyone who's listening in. The system's now going to go in and verify all these pieces. So is that a real order number in the system? What items are on that order number? What items are outstanding? So we can part receipt, or the order can be part receipted. But again, we're only going to show the pieces on the order that are available for receiving. So I've part receipted a bunch of products in here, and I'm going to receive some more. So again, the system is flexible to allow you to scan. The preferential way of getting data in is to scan barcodes. Barcodes are, very, very rarely wrong, and if they are, you're scanning the wrong barcode, the system will tell you. I could either scan a barcode into the field here, I could choose it from a list and enter the system, or I could type in if I really wanted to. Typing is really the way you don't want to be receiving information. Apparently, there's a statistic that 1 in every 100 characters you type is incorrect, so that opens it up for a lot of error. Whereas I think it's 1 in every million barcode scans might have a problem or something like that. So what we'll do is we can also see some of the functionality in here. If I click on this little icon over here, what that will do is it will bring up product information for me. And again, if you saw the picture of the pineapple, we can bring up the picture of what this item is, what it looks like, so that I know I'm receiving the same thing. So if you're receiving lots of products or picking lots of products that are similar look and feel, or you're picking something that is a different color, then we can bring up the actual picture from NetSuite to allow you to see that. And again, this is just a switch on and off function in the system. We can set it up not to do that. So if I want to do that, I can scan a product. We'll just say that we can scan in. So let's pick that product, scan it in, and I can receive that with a quantity. So I'll just receive 1. And as you can see, what that's going to do is it's incremented the list here. So until I've finished receiving everything that I want to receive, the system is just going to add them all up for me. It's exactly like filling out a page in NetSuite where you need to click the save button to send all of the updates to the system. We're working in exactly the same way. So I can receive that. I can then move on, receive another product in the system here, allow me to do that. Now, we do support lot numbers, and we do support serialized items. So as long as an item is set up with lot numbers or as a serialized item in NetSuite, then we will ping up a box that says, please enter the lot number, or actually we can generate you a lot number based on the date and time if you wish to have a lot number generated for you. So everything that can be done on the lot numbers can be made in the background by DSI and then recorded in the system like that. So let's say we've recorded as many things as we need in here. We've only got 2 from this order. So I can go away and click complete on the order here. Now, because this is inventory management, there's always going to be a step that says, where did you put it? Where did it come from and where did you put it? So we're receiving something, so we need to put it somewhere. So the system is set up by default to receive to a location on the dock, so a generic receiving location. So this could be put away directly into a shelf. But normally what we're doing is we're unloading a truck and we're putting it somewhere by the dock door, and then we're going to do a put away after that. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to submit the system here to allow us to do that for us. So it's now submitting an update to that order saying I received 1 item 2150 and 1 item 2151. And as you can see at the top, what we've got here is a NetSuite transaction ID. So as I said, the native products from DSI rely on the NetSuite system to show you the reporting, and you can use the graphical interface from NetSuite to give you some nice dashboards. But what that means is that we are doing a transaction exactly like someone in NetSuite is doing a transaction. So this is now a reportable thing. So this DSI user has done a transaction, and now I can run reports. I can look at how that's running in the system using the NetSuite tools. So the order is gone. I can now record more if I wanted to, or I can go and receive another order through the door. But we're going to move away from receiving now and look at some of the other functions that we've got in the system. So we could just now put that away into a location, or we could just go in and we could do a transfer between locations depending on whether you've got the core functionality or whether you've got the software functionality in the system. What we'll do though is we'll go and look for some inventory in the system just so that we can see where things are and what we're doing. So again, this is one of these applications where we've looked at how the warehouse worker needs to work. Not necessarily how NetSuite needs the worker to work, but how a warehouse worker actually works. And we've made an application here that allows you to do more than one function in the screen. Again, I can check by location, so my user is allowed to look at multiple locations. So it brings up the list of the locations my user is allowed to work, so I can search if I'm allowed to search across multiple NetSuite locations. I can also do this by looking up an item number, looking up a lot or a serial number, or looking into a bin location that allows me to see what exactly I've got stored in a bin in my warehouse to do that. We'll look up an item number, So let's look up one of the items you've just received. So 2150. And the system is going away live and then going into NetSuite and going, right, when I scan 2150, let's show everything that comes up with a 2150 in the title anywhere in its item number and its description. So let's come up with the one we want at the top of the list. So I can smart search, so I don't have to know the full part number in the system here. I could type in half and then we pick it from the list. So we're now going away, we're looking at where in my where in my DSI warehouse do I have any of that product? And it's a very popular product in our DSI warehouse. As you can see, we can see in the system that the item is located in a number of locations. So here is our receive location that we brought it into. We've got some on the dock. We've got some in our location. We've got some product waiting to be shipped. It's in our packing locations. And then we've got some in here in our sort of general warehouse bulk. So generally W001 is obviously our bulk location. And 002 looks like it's our overflow location here to allow us to put products in there. So if I want to look at something like that, then I can come in here and I can look in more detail at the product. As you can see, it's not a lot item, so the lot number isn't recorded. But I get the full description coming out of NetSuite of this. So I've got its item number, I've got what it is as a description, I've got its UPC code that's set up into NetSuite, I've got its type of product, so it's an inventory item or an asset or whatever we need. Where is it? Its lot number, any expiration date that's related to that lot number if important, and then how many I've got on hand and how many available. So as you can see, we have a number of products issued out here or pre-issued for manufacturing or kitting solutions. So you can see what we need. Now, what we can do here is we can print to the solution as well. So I could print labels. Maybe I'm relabeling a product that's got a damaged barcode. So I can reprint from this application to stick a new label on. And that'll print from my default printer in the system that's set up for my user. So again, you know, we've now come on back to the menu. We've now received, we could put away or move in the system. It's a very simple thing. We can look at items. So let's talk about picking. As I said before, the standard product comes with a single order directed pick, which means that what we'll do is we'll look for a pick, we'll look for a product, and we'll apply the rules the same way NetSuite does. You know, let's go and look for the oldest product first. So as we're opening up here, this system allows us to see all the open picks in the system here. So, you know, we're in with all the open picks. And as you can see, we've got a lot of open picks and we do a lot of work for active goods in our warehouse. I can sort by things like ship date in the system. I can sort by sales orders, or I can sort by transfer orders. As you can see, there are a few orders in the system here. I can come back into all of them and we can open one up. Now again, because it's inventory, I have to tell you where I'm going to put it. So this is my pack bench, and only after I've done that can I pick items. Now I could have scanned a barcode or I could have typed in an order number, but if you sorted this to say all the open orders in the system, then we can move through that. So we're just going to jump in and open this order. Now what it's doing is, again, it's checking that order is a valid number. It's checking all the open items on the order, so we may have part-picked this order in the past. We may have allowed us to overpick or underpick here. So we are validating everything in the system. So once again, as you can see, I can open a picture of the item I need to pick. I can look at what else is on the pick list. So there's 2 items in here, 2 locations that allow me to do that. I can move back in the system. And what it's doing is here it's saying which location I need to go to, how many I need to pick, and how many I can pick. So I could split this across locations. Now, this is only a suggestion and it's taking me to where the oldest one in the warehouse is. Maybe that aisle's blocked off, or maybe it's closed down. Maybe the forklift truck's doing some replan in that location. So I can give the user some power as well to go and see where I can pick that item from another location in the warehouse. So are there any other locations in that warehouse? They're not. So what I could do is I can then skip that pick if I want to and go and look at picking a second item in the system here. So I can skip and go back. So again, we've moved on, suggested location for the other product, WRO2. So again, we're giving the user in the warehouse a level of flexibility in how they can pick that and how they can move through the warehouse and try and be as efficient as you can, working around those everyday obstacles that we see in warehouses. Of course, if you want them to pick in complete order and the complete sequence, that's fine, and the system can do that, and then you come through. So I just enter the location, the item, and again, if it was lot or serial numbered, I can then enter the lot or serial number. As you can see, this is a not lot or serial numbered item, so the field is grayed out. So the user knows they don't have to enter information into that field, and if it is a lot-based item or a serial item, then that field will open up, and you have to enter a serial number before you can move on. So that's the idea, is that we're recording the information that's important for those guys. Now, we can step through this, and then what I want to show you actually is, let's just jump back to the menu. All the picking apps look the same in the system here, so whether I'm picking one order or two orders, or whether I'm picking a customized way, the picking apps all look the same. So, you can allow your users to have one or more picking apps. Most people will normally have a single order pick to do emergency picks. And then they may be multi-order, or they may do wave picking as well on top of that. So you can run those applications as separate menu items to allow the pickers to do that. We're going to look at the pick management app here. So again, if your company doesn't fit into the criteria of single or multi-order picks, we're going to open the pick management, and it's a desktop app, so I've opened it in a different tab. And again, as you can see, this is a full screen app, so it's designed for a supervisor, a manager, a back office person to start putting your company's strategy into picking. And again, this is a really unusual characteristic for sort of what we call an entry-level solution. This is something that DSI has. It's part of the product. It's just a module you buy in the system. And once you've bought the module, it's a fully functioning piece in the marketplace. And it's very unusual for people to have that level of functionality at this level of product. So, as I said before, this is an app where you can create what we call waves, or warehousing people call waves. So you can pick a strategy on how your picking needs to work. So this can be run from a save search in NetSuite. So you could go into NetSuite and you could run a save search saying, I want to pick everything for Acme goods. Or I want to pick all the big items for Acme goods. Or I want to pick all the orders for Acme goods for Maidenhead or for London. And then you can save that search, come into the system here, save it as a template, and then run it as often as you like. As I said before, you may want to pick for a specific carrier. You get preferential rates if the carrier comes in before lunchtime to do collections. You may want to sort those rules through and say, I need to pick everything for Tarek's carrier company because he's coming in at 11 o'clock in the morning because he gives me preferential rates for my shipments. So I can then run a save search to say all the orders that are going to use Tarek's carrier company. Let's run away for those and let's see how that works. And again, these are things that can be fine-tuned in the system. So I could run that search. What we've done is we've looked at that. Once you've run it, you can save it as a template. And as you see, we've saved them as a template in here that allows you to just choose the items that the save search is running and then run it on the NetSuite data in the background. So I can run that every day, pick up all the current information from the NetSuite system, and then apply that and make a picking strategy and a picking way for my pickers to go out and do their job. So as you see, I've run that filter and all of my NetSuite information, these are the only orders that have come up for what am I shipping today. Now, I can just say, great, select them all. And as you see, they're all coming into the wave. Give the wave a description and I could create it and off you go. And as my pickers open the wave picking app, this will all be there for them to see and that wave will be there for them to pick. Alternatively, I could come in here and go, great, I want to start grouping things, so let's sort it by customer. Let's make them pick all the orders for Acme goods first. So I can filter on my NetSuite save search, or I can filter on the search I'm running in the system here that allows you to do that. So then I could run that wave and I could allow that to do that. We won't create the wave at the moment. It's running a lot of information, it's going away, and every order number in here, it's going to go and check that. So again, this is a back office function that you normally run before you're doing that, unless it's an emergency and you go in a quick way and push it out. But again, the system will then go and check all the items on all those orders for what's open, what needs to be picked, where it is in the warehouse, which is the oldest one, and then we'll accumulate all that information to allow you to go and run that wave and pick those items from around the warehouse. So just to give you a quick look at the work orders, if you want to do manufacturing again, you buy it as a separate module. Work order comes in here, and again the work order app, nice and clean, nice and simple. It's going to look for all the open work orders in the system. And as you can see, I can come down here and I can choose the work orders, or I could scan one into the system. So if I'm allowing someone to build something from a scanned work order or a delivery paperwork with a work order number, if you put a barcode on it, we can scan it. We can come in here and look at an open order, and then we can go away and look at building those products. I could just build one in here and complete it, so I know that I built it, and that number is now documented, or I can pick the parts for the order. And again, you'll notice it's very similar to all the picking apps we've seen before. We're showing what products we need to do, what they are, how many are required, 3.45. Love a decimal place for a product and an order. And then again, if I know where they are in the bin location, or I can give someone free range, and that's a lot, or serialized, I can do that too. And once they're done, I add the parts, and then I go and create the order, and once that's done, so I could just go and create one of those, and then I could just complete the build. How many have I made? How many have I scrapped? Because it's very important in the world of making things to know that if I've used those raw materials and the product is a write-off, that those materials still got consumed, and I don't have those raw materials anymore. So the scrap way allows you to do that here. So maybe I have a 1 in 10 scrappage, but I need to know those raw materials aren't available anymore. This is where we step above and beyond that sort of paperwork system. So that's really all we're going to show you for the sort of scanning in the warehouse function. As I say, the DSI platform allows you to look at these apps in more detail, and allows you to customize and configure them around what you need to do. So if you need to have a heavily customized system, these apps are still available to you, but they come out of the DSI platform to allow you to configure, customize, and change them around your business processes. So if we jump back into the PowerPoint presentation, we're just going to look at inventory outside the four walls. There we go. So we're just going to look through here, and we're going to sort of jump back in and just look at some of the other options. So this is the platform, on the PaaS platform function that we were talking about earlier, where we're going to look at things that can be customized. But the PaaS platform is also required to do all of the offline functionality. So if I'm doing field service or proof of delivery, then I need the PaaS platform to manage the communication, to manage the offline generation, to manage the synchronization of these applications. So again, we'll just hop through these quite quickly. As you see, again, the platform is a Suite app, so it's available as a NetSuite approved application from the Suite App Store. And again, it's giving us more flexibility. So we have a whole pile of approved and certified applications that will run into the system. The application development environment is codeless and object-oriented. So if you buy into this and you buy into applications, you can do an online training course from DSI and learn how to change, modify, and move these applications around yourself. So, you're not reliant on DSI or anyone else to do this if you choose. Offline, online is very important, and all those functions that come along with it, like GPS and cameras and signatures, and all those functions are in the system here to allow us to allow you to catch that. But you can also use this for machine to machine, and the more modern and trendy way of describing it is IoT, the Internet of Things, for going out and collecting information and then applying rules to that information and how that applies to your business. So again, there's a whole big engine in here that is not really for today, but we'll just introduce that to you. And if you have those requirements, please come through the guys at BrightBridge and come to us, and we're more than happy to go into much more detail about the capabilities. As we talked about analytics and insights, as we're moving outside the ERP, you're using our insights and our dashboards that allow you to drill down in detail about what my workers doing, how is my warehouse running, how are my field service engineers, how much time do they spend traveling, how many customers they visit a day, all that sort of functionality in here. And as we say, it's agnostic from a device perspective. So we run HTML5, so browser-based, online, offline, Apple, Android, Windows desktop functionality. And again, our client runs across these and builds itself around those. And then, of course, it can be installed anywhere. For NetSuite, cloud-based installation is the way forward. So, as I said before, the applications look the same. The pineapple is exactly the same as before. But what this allows us to do is take these applications and then modify them. So if you need to add an extra field or a custom field or a different business process or something completely different, we can accommodate you with the applications by putting them in the platform and then allowing us to modify them. So outside the four walls, let's look at the applications that we can run here. So as you can see on the right, you can do things like proof of delivery. So I've put my van drivers in my own fleet. I've got my sales orders on the van. The driver can deliver them, can get a sign on the screen, can scan the items in, can take pictures and all that sort of function. You can also do things like merchandising. So if you're delivering your own product to a retail store and it's your job to go into the store and your job to put the oldest products at the front of the display and the newest ones at the back, we can provide you with a solution that does that too. We do that very successfully with Heineken in Asia Pacific, where the Heineken delivery drivers go in, they take a picture of the shelf to prove that the Heineken shelf is still there, it only has Heineken products on it, and then they refill it, and then they place an order on Heineken in the background by actually just pressing pictures of the products. They don't need to know part numbers. We built them a system that allows them to do that. Then we have things that we call route sales or field sales or direct store delivery, so there's an application that allows you to run through that. In the system that you can then take orders in the field, you can then deliver your own orders, maybe you're delivering orders to customers, but the ability to take an order while you're standing in front of a customer, check the inventory level, whether I've got the products you want to buy, make an order that will then replicate back into NetSuite when I have a connection. So the applications run whether they're connected or not connected, the user doesn't need to know that. Then you move into more of the sort of once I've delivered and sold my products to a customer and taken their orders, then I'm going to start looking at repairing them. So on the left-hand side, you can see inspection and maintenance. You can see things like field inventory in the system. And then you can do things like service work orders or field service as we have it. And these applications, you know, what you'll start to see about this is that these applications will share a lot of the functionality. So again, these are applications that we've built to deliver a certain task. If your business doesn't work quite like that, it's fine. We can just use the GPS tracking, or we can use the signature in any part of any of these applications. So let's have a look at some of the applications. So service work orders, again, as you see, they fit across multiple platforms. The application scales. We've got mapping in here. We can view service orders for that user. We actually have an application that allows you to give the service work orders to each of your users. So again, it's a supervisor or manager application that allows you to decide who's going to do which work every day. See the calendars of the users, make sure you're not overloading one or another. We can look at parts and inventory. We can transfer parts and inventory. We can track mileage, capture photos, do notes, record signatures, all that sort of stuff. Print an email. You know, when the job is done, we can print out and output an email. And again, the most important thing, this application runs completely disconnected. So if you're, you know, down in the basement where there's no connection, it's all good. The application will run, store sequence information, and send it off in the background. Inspections and maintenance, again, you can see, runs across the multiple platforms, gives you a list of tick boxes to follow on the screen. So, yeah, we can build a custom checklist for the system here that allows you to have your users go through a fixed set of checklists or functionalities. Do I need to fill out health and safety at the beginning of each job? You know, do I need to do different things for different customers? This application can allow you to do that. And again, you can see, do I need to look at history? You know, we're going to download the history of an item from inside NetSuite, so you know all the calls that have happened to it, everything that happened to it in the past, everything that you need to do for it today. But again, you're empowering the person in the field with that information to make sure that they can deliver that customer satisfaction piece to you, that get it right first time, that only do one visit philosophy of field-based solutions. And again, we can do parts and labour, capture photos and notes, maybe the product is being damaged by the customer, I can start recording that. And what this does is it attaches all this information into the NetSuite task for doing this. So we look at proof of delivery again. Proof of delivery, more of a mobile that we can see here in the system. We can come in and see what's delivery. We can see scanning in here of items. We can take signatures. And again, as you see on the bottom here, we could do things like, you know, out of 5 stars, how did you rate your delivery driver today? Very simple data capture at the point of delivery. You know, do I want to just put the star rating in, or do I want to ask one question or two questions just to the person I'm doing that to? So you can start capturing and, you know, collating that information, and we can upload that into NetSuite as a file or something like that. But the idea is to try and add value on top of just those standard core functions of delivery, of the standard core functions of field service. How do I start getting customer satisfaction from my environment? And then one more thing that we're going to do here, you know, again, we can look at this to give you something. This is something completely different. This is for Tiffany and Company. You may recognize the name, you know, it's the global brand. But this is an application for their manufacturing floor. So don't think of this as just a solution that gives you deliveries, signatures, and all sorts of stuff. It actually gives you the ability to make an application, a tablet-based application for their workforce on the shop floor. But also to go and check, so the supervisor can walk around the floor, he can check who's on the system, he can check all the work orders are being made, he can make decisions like pausing the work orders, and he can clock the time on and off of this system to allow you to stop and start work orders and move things around. But as you see, it's a nice application. It's bespoke to the company, it's using their colour scheme, it's using their pictures, it's doing all the things that you expect to see. And then, again, we can look at all those things, and we can create anything you need, really. So we're going to look at finishing up there, wrapping up there in case there's any questions. But, you know, DSI's mantra, to make you as successful as a company, to give you that visibility in anything to do with inventory in the system. I'll just hand back to Ian for a quick wrap up, and we'll take it from there.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Chris. That's really informative demo. What I've noticed from that, it's a while since I've seen it, but I can see some of the recent roadmap functionality which you've added since last time, such as tote pick and wave pick, which is it's really good to see. So thank you from me as well for that.
Welcome.
So let's see if we've had any questions during the course of the webinar. Dan, would you like to compare the questions if indeed you have any?
We do indeed. So the first question we received was, how easy is it to add additional carriers such as TNT to the shipping module?
We can add carriers. We have a way of adding carriers in. And depending on whether that's an international carrier, a DPD or a DHL on top of the core ones supported by NetSuite, we can add it, and depending on which it is, then we might absorb the cost of creating an international one. But if it is, like I said, like Tarek Global Pallet Company, then we pass that cost on. It's not incredibly expensive to do that. But I have to say at this point, we've never done it. We've been asked a lot to do it. But what you start seeing is people will go out and look at maybe a rate shopping application, which would be another suite app partner from NetSuite to enable you to start getting smart shipping, and then they will do all that work for you. So we get asked fairly regularly, but we haven't actually done it yet. But yeah, it's you know, it's a couple of £1,000 to create a new one for you.
Cool. The second question we had was, can shipping be a standalone module, or is it dependent on DSI Direct Core or Pro?
You could run it as a single application, just to scan shipping out the door if you wish. You'd have to buy in the initial core module. You know, that's the building block that the system runs on for DSI Direct. But you could just have a shipping application on top of that, to just have a single menu option that says shipping, scan my shipping, my sales orders and my work orders, and then ship them out the door, and then update NetSuite automatically in the background. Next.
Third final question actually was, we'd be interested in EPP. Can we have a follow-up session, and what do we need to do next, please?
Yeah, fantastic. We can do that, and we'll sort it out through the BrightBridge team here, and we can sort you out a demo and look and feel of EPP. No problem.
Cool. That wraps up the questions that we've had inbound. And if anybody does have any other currently, before we wrap this up, if you do want to just drop me a message on the chat function, whilst we've got Chris online, I'm sure we'll be able to advise you on those now.
No, sounds like we're all done, Dan.
Yeah, it does indeed.
Okay, brilliant. Well, thank you, presenters and attendees. I hope that's been informative for you this morning. The link to the webinar will be distributed for you to watch again, or indeed, please share with your colleagues. Have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.